Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Friday from Daryl here on the East Coast. It's coming up on 4:30 a.m. on a cold 22-degree morning here in Connecticut. Oh, just one quick note. I watched Bo of the Fifth Column's video yesterday about planting a garden, planting season, and it made me so envious. I'm telling you guys, I'm going to move to Florida soon. Because I tell you what, there's nothing that's going to get planted up here in Connecticut, man. Not for another 3-4 months. That ground out there is as hard as a rock, about to about 3 feet down, and it made me so envious that Floridians are already talking about planting. So anyway, okay, on to the serious talk, the impeachment. All right, so as of today, the skinny it's looking, let's call it about 90 to 95% sure that there will be no witnesses. It looks like it's down to one senator. You have to forgive me, I forgot his name. I'm trying to remember so many names this morning. But it looks like it's just going to nearly be no witnesses. And I'll get right into it. I think, again, I told you guys, I think this is all a show for the American people. I wouldn't even doubt that it's right down to this one senator. They want to make it look as much as a show that they're doing their job, their due diligence for the American people, without actually calling out the president. I swear it's all just a show for us to make it look like, well, we acquitted him. He didn't do nothing wrong. Let's move on. It's all a hoax. Just like the Mueller and Russia investigation. I mean, most people that have any sense of reality know that there was plenty that went on with Russia in the 2016 election. Even if you don't even bring up Trump, the social media, manipulating the social media. I think a lot of the divisiveness in this country, a lot of it was kerosene thrown on by Russia. That got this blaze really going here in America. That's my opinion. All right. Anyway, so you guys know, ever since the beginning, I highly doubted Bolton. I really didn't think Bolton would testify, because I knew if he testified, it'd be hard. It'd be hard for the Republican senators to acquit him. So, and there was no way that Trump was going to allow Bolton to testify right from the very beginning. I want to talk about this, what people call the evolution or de-evolution of Trump's defense over the last weeks. It started out as no quid pro quo. Remember that? 3 times in a row. No quid pro quo, no quid pro quo. I didn't do that. It was not connected. Then it turned to, well, I was investigating the Bidens on corruption. So, I was doing what I was supposed to do. And then now it's turned into, well, whatever the president deems good for the country is fair. He could do that. Basically, Alan Dershowitz said this yesterday, that if the president, the way Dershowitz snuck in a few words, that if Trump thinks that his reelection is good for the nation, then it's doable. Basically, it's saying that Trump's a dictator. Trump's a dictator, and whatever Trump deems good for the country, and they specified whatever the man Trump, just him, not the Republican Party, not the Senate, not the Congress, whatever Trump deems good for the country is legal, is doable. If that's not the definition of freaking dictator, I don't know what is. And again, Trump had another rally last night, and again he beats the drum that they're just trying to redo the 2016 election and make your votes not count. No, it's because from the very beginning, we knew that you were not suitable to be president, that you were corrupt, and that your ego would probably end up doing something like you're doing right now, with your attorneys pretty much making you a dictator. And that's why this whole impeachment. All right, so moving forward, okay, personally, like I don't want you guys to misunderstand me. In a perfect world, Trump would be held accountable. The scariest thing here, as I've said before, the scariest thing, the bottom line is another country having a pull, having say in our election. To me, it's not even it goes beyond Trump. It goes beyond in future elections. If Saudi Arabia, if China, if Russia has information, say they have damaging information on Republican candidate and the Democratic candidate, they can then sit back and choose which candidate would be better for Russia, or us, China, and then give damaging information on the other one, where our vote becomes almost null and void, and other countries, our adversaries, are electing our president. Why Trump supporters don't see this? Again, they go back to these defenses that, well, it's just because they're unhappy that Hillary lost and they're trying to change the election. No, man. There's only 6 months left, 7 months left in Trump's term. I couldn't care less. Honestly, he's done enough damage already. I can suffer through another 6 or 7 months. I don't care. And I think I'm talking for a good portion of Democrats. The most important thing here is that it doesn't set a precedent that other countries can meddle in our elections. That's one of the scariest things. Like I said, I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say it's eroding the foundation of our democracy. And I don't know if Trump supporters are just too thick, too stubborn to see that this is the true issue here. If they the Bidens, you know what? I would be fine with the Bidens being called as witnesses and being investigated, because A, I'm not endorsing Joe Biden as of this moment, and B, if Joe Biden does become the Democratic candidate, then if there's anything dirty or could even be perceived as bad or corrupt or dirty, let it come out right now before he becomes a Democratic candidate and loses to freaking Trump. Let everything come out now. If there's anything that looks dirty, could be construed as dirty, let it all come out right now. Because the most important thing, that in the future, other countries are not able to have influence in our elections, our presidential elections. That to me is the most important thing. Number two, that Trump does not win in November. And number three would be him being impeached. There's only 6 or 7 more months. Who cares? If he's pulled out now, I don't know how long. If he was actually convicted or whatever right now, I don't know if it's other legal issues that are just drawn out where there would be appeals, and he'd probably stay in office anyway till November. So whether or not he's convicted right now, the troubling thing will be, this is going to happen from this point forward. If the trial ends today and there's no witnesses called, Trump is going to spin that into I am innocent, and I have been proven innocent and beyond a doubt, and I did nothing wrong. And that's scary. That's scary, because now it's okay. It's okay for our politicians to go to other countries and involve them in our elections. That is terrifying. It's the end of our democracy. How else could you look at it? If we went back to George Washington and John Adams, it's like letting England have a say in who becomes president, or France have a say. It's just, I know it's a bad analogy, but so anyway, the de-evolution of Trump's defense over the last 3 months, it went from no quid pro quo to, well, I was investigating the Bidens, to then now it's just, well, whatever the president deems good for the country is legal and doable. AKA, in other words, he's a dictator. It's up to him. If he thinks it's good for the country, he can do it. That's a scary position we're in now. If it were up to me, if I were a politician right now, I would, and the trial ends today, the fact that there were no witnesses called, I would bang on that drum, man, like constantly. And the fact that another country is able to influence our election. If there's no witnesses called, then to me, it looks like an unfinished trial. It looks like something being swept under the rug, specifically that something being John Bolton's book. So don't get me wrong. I've said this in another video. When I say, it could possibly look better at this point, I think, if there's no witnesses called right as of now, and he's acquitted, because then it's going to look like it will look more of what it is, a sham, being covered up. If witnesses are called and he's still acquitted, then he's going to be able to go around and say, well, I was completely exonerated. Witnesses were called, and then. So I think it's going to, the sham aspect of it should be more obvious to the voters. If there's no witnesses called and the trial ends right now today, it looks I would think to most reasonable people who are undecided, it looks, why weren't there any witnesses called? Especially John Bolton. He worked right next to the president. He heard what the president said. Why wasn't he called as a witness? Why? Can only be one reason: a cover-up, because they don't want it being heard. So if I were a politician, I'd bang that drum till my drumsticks broke. All right, well, that's what I got to say today for the impeachment. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good Friday.